For a while I thought about giving balanced opinions on Finland's most sold cars from last year, but then I decided I should rip them a new one instead. At number 10, we have the Kia Ceed. The swan song of the Kia C''D, or scratch that. They apparently lost the apostrophe in 2018. Shame. That was the only mildly interesting thing about this rebadged Hyundai. Nobody would even know this exists if not for its brief stint as Top Gear's reasonably priced car. I mean, it could be mildly interesting if you choose a high trim level, but then again, this is Finland, and here no one does that. If you bought one of these, you have no imagination. But on the bright side, you're also a boring driver, so you're not likely to annoy me that much. And at least it's a car and not another freaking crossover. At number 9, we have the Nissan Qashqai. Speaking of freaking crossovers, the third and current generation of the Qashqai is not pretty to look at, but it is much less of an eyesore than the previous ones. Shame, because it used to sell a lot more, but the sales figures in Finland have dwindled in the last few years, which means that it's not actually that boring of a choice anymore. The basic characteristics remain though. Cheap for a crossover with a good amount of equipment. Equipment does not make a good driver though. As I've said before, Qashqais are basically moving roadblocks with the most insecure drivers on the road. People who constantly drive erratically and way under the speed limit. You'd think adaptive cruise control would take care of that, but no. I wonder if even half of the people driving these things are aware of the equipment at their disposal. I honestly suspect that they may actually be afraid of technology, and just got recommended these by family or friends who just love them so much. They're like a plague in that sense. Your friends and relatives got them, so you also got one. But apparently people are building up a resistance now that they are losing ground. The previous 2 generations hang around like residual pimples after smallpox though. You can't really go anywhere without seeing them. At number 8, we have the Volkswagen ID4. I wish I could call the ID4 boring, but it's not. It has these terrible unique features that not even a mother could love. It has no redeeming features, not from any angle. The ID5 has a decent rear end but sacrifices practicality for the sloping roofline. Then again, if you wanted practicality, you could always get a station wagon instead of this high-riding crossover, which basically just looks like a bloated hatchback on stilts. If you bought one, congratulations. At least it's not as ugly as a BMW iX, but it sure is trying. I'm so glad that atrocity is way too expensive to make this list. At number 7, we have the Volvo XC60. So let me get this straight. You could have had a V60, which handles better, is more fuel efficient, better looking, and has more cargo space. But you chose this crossover version, which is just worse in all those aspects. And for what? Ride height. I will honestly never understand crossover buyers. Maybe it has something to do with me driving sprinters so much. Yes, you can see better if you're sitting higher up. But is it worth all those trade-offs? No. Absolutely not. At least these people seem to have more sense than XC40 drivers. Those are basically the same as Qashqai drivers. Insecure, inconsistent, and slow. At number 6, we have the Skoda Enyaq. A better looking ID4. In coupe form, it's actually even pretty good looking. Sorry, forgot this was about to be a roast. You were apparently too cheap to get an Audi, so you got this, you sensible, boring person. The coupe looks really good though. I could actually consider getting one. Nope, it's a pointless high-riding crossover. Lower it and then we'll talk. Next, Coming in at 5th place, we have the Tesla Model Y. I'm surprised to see any Tesla car make any sales list after all the Elon hate last year, but here we are. Compared to the Model 3, you have almost all the same disadvantages as with the Volvo comparison, but you'd still choose this. I mean, make the Model 3 a hatchback and it wins straight down. Seriously, making a rear shape like that with a trunk is the stupidest thing with the Model 3. If it looks like a hatchback, is shaped like a hatchback, make it a freaking hatchback. This is not the 60s. You're sacrificing practicality for basically no reason whatsoever. At number 4, the Toyota RAV4. The RAV4 is getting renewed this year and they've removed all pricing and information about the old one on the website. Apparently they did a big price drop on the outgoing one already back in 2024, so you could get the base model hybrid for 42,295 euros. Maybe this long clearance sale boosted the sales volume. The new one is starting at 46,990 euros officially, so you could get the world's best-selling SUV for a bargain. Still way more expensive than a car though. I don't know what you're compensating when you get any car in this class. I mean, no matter the size, it's still a Toyota, and there's nothing spectacular about that. An Avensis wagon would be a much better choice in every aspect, but you people have killed the demand for them with this stupid SUV and crossover obsession. Then again, you could always just get a Corolla wagon. You know, it's enough car for pretty much everyone. For some reason I got recommendation for an IQ test when comparing the Corolla and RAV4. I wonder what that means. And at number 3, we have the Toyota Corolla. And now I painted myself into a corner by just recommending this. I mean, there is nothing really bad to say about this, except that everybody's got one, so it's a bit of a boring choice. But then again, it's a really good choice. Especially in wagon form, plenty of trim options, and Toyota's well-known reliable hybrid powertrain. And since about 10 years ago, Toyotas have actually been really good to drive too. Actually, if you buy one of these, it tells absolutely nothing of your personality or skills. People who drive these are actually all over the place. Some are good, but some apparently imagine that they're driving a BMW and behave accordingly. Plenty of speeders and indicator misusers among Corolla drivers these days. Also, even after all these years developing this advanced hybrid powertrain, it still loses to my 10-year-old Civic in fuel economy, and also in cargo space and practicality. So, Toyota sold over 11,000 cars last year. How many Hondas? Oh. So maybe my next car has to be a Corolla. Or an Enyaq. At number 2, we have the Toyota Yaris. Even more sensible, that will say boring Toyota. Cheaper and smaller than a Corolla. Even the base models look deceptively sporty with those huge flare wheel arches, but don't get fooled. They all sport a 1.5-liter hybrid powertrain with a weight of 1.17 to 1.27 tons, which is not a lot for a car, but this is supposed to be a small car. It's somehow very funny to think that my diesel wagon weighs only 100 kilograms more than this tiny thing. The newer the Yaris, the more unremarkable the driver. The older they get, the worse things become though. These are cheapish and reliable, which means that there will still be plenty of these on the road in about 20 years, being abused by food delivery drivers. Expect to see a lot of these with mismatched or missing parts. Not any Honda Jazzes though, because as we just discovered, Finns don't really buy Hondas nowadays, so they will be more or less extinct. Now let me take you back to the 80s, when an Australian man had the bright idea to crossbreed a Labrador and a Poodle. And we got a Labradoodle, a new dog breed riddled with health issues. 30 years later, Toyota thought they would try this again by crossbreeding a RAV4 and a Yaris. And we got the most sold car in Finland, the Yaris Cross. Toyota's Labradoodle. Apparently Toyota know their customers well. Combine two best-selling cars and fill a market niche that shouldn't exist, but against all sense and reason does. The worst of both worlds. A car that's too small to be practical, too big to be economical, and apparently just high-riding enough for their drivers to be scared of corners. Guys, you can do mild curves at 50 kph. I know your small and tall crossover feels huge, but the center of gravity is low. It won't tip over. Trust me. I wonder what these people would have bought if the car didn't exist. Probably a BZ4X, CHR, Urban Cruiser, Igo X, Corolla Cross. Are you kidding me? This compact crossover market is spoiled for choice and we can't even have one mid-size station wagon anymore. People, you've ruined the car market. I'm gonna go have a coffee. Or maybe an Irish coffee. This is just too damn much.